So I'm frequently telling my clients it's okay to repeat a weight 2 weeks in a row, or it's okay that you didn't hit that number that you thought you would because you're operating under high amounts of fatigue. But what does that even mean? So I'm going to use the principle of stimulus, recovery, and adaptation curves to describe what underlying fatigue that is masking your performance means. Now, SRA curves are derived from the theory from Hans Selye, general adaptation syndrome, in that there is an alarm that is signaled in your body, and then there is a response from your body in order to build and create an adaptation that will help you better manage that same stimulus when you encounter it again. There is a phase in general adaptation syndrome that is called the exhaustion phase, and that is if you keep going and trying to add on, or you keep creating a higher and higher stimulus, eventually you will hit the point of exhaustion. Now, in strength training, this is often thought of as overtraining. So, much like general adaptation syndrome alarm, there is a stimulus that you run into which creates a response. That response then drives recovery, and there's a moment of decreased performance in this in order to allow your body to flow through the recovery mechanisms. And then there's an adaptation that occurs as a response to the recovery to prepare you for the same or a greater stimulus. Now let's use the example that your baseline squat for 3 reps is 305 pounds. Your baseline performance level is pictured by this blue line right here. You squat 315 pounds for 3 reps, this black line, which drives a stimulus from these 2 red dots, between these 2 red dots. That stimulus then drives a response from your body, which is recovery. So when you're in the recovery period, again, you might have a moment of decreased performance. When left to fully recover, you will achieve a new baseline here between the 2 green lines. And you'll see that if you were to not encounter another response, so let's ignore the blue curve here. If you were to not encounter another stimulus, eventually you will track back down to or below your baseline performance level. Now, let's say you squat 315 pounds for 3 reps again before your body has completed adaptation but has returned to its baseline performance. So this is where we're looking at the blue curve here. So you have implemented another stimulus, and which pursues recovery. And when that full recovery is finally allowed, you'll find that your baseline has improved up and beyond your original, allowing you to increase the next stimulus to about 325, or I would say, let's say 325 pounds for 3 reps. So you'll achieve a new baseline of performance. This is a result of the supercompensation of an adaptation and using functional overreaching, or what I like to call stacking stimuli. So without letting your body complete that full adaptation, we input another stimulus right as you return to your baseline, whether that's the same stimulus or a little bit more, and that will allow you to functionally overreach and continue to push that new baseline for performance higher and higher. Now, the reason that we sometimes can't improve weight or add weight to the bar is because we are just looking to input a stimulus when you are at your new baseline performance level. Now, the art of coaching is learning each and every person's different length of their SRA curves so that you can start to stack these stimuli in a methodical manner that will allow you to push that baseline upwards. So let's say if I were to start this blue line or input your second stimulus over here when you're not fully recovered, you may not be able to squat 315 for 315 pounds for 3 reps again because you have a moment of decreased performance. Now, does that mean you got weaker? No. There is an underlying fatigue that is occurring as a result of not allowing that curve to run all the way through. Now, everybody's curve lengths are going to be different. Sometimes, everyone's squats are always going to be longer than their benches, which is why we can bench more frequently than we can squat or deadlift. But the goal in strength training and powerlifting is to look to functionally overreach or stack these stimuli in a manner that allows you to just get better and create that adaptation enough so that you can improve the stimulus that you input. For example, getting 305 as your baseline and then hitting 315 for maybe 2 weeks in a row, where the second time you hit 315, it's not going to be as intensive a stimulus because your body's encountered it before. But as long as you return to baseline and you can accomplish that, you're still going to input a decent stimulus that is going to stimulate your recovery and therefore an adaptation above and beyond where you were before. Please feel free to hit me up on @ambitious_strength_ on Instagram. If you have any questions on this, my email is ambitious.strength9@gmail.com. Shoot over any questions you have on that. But when a coach is telling you that there's an underlying fatigue that is masking your performance, this is essentially what they're talking about. And most coaches out there utilize SRA curves to improve your baseline performance above and beyond what it was before.